I'm back today to look at G2 playing against Vitality in the Blast Premier Fall Groups 2022. Now, this is something that happened twice because the strange format of Blast. You've got them playing for a first time in the playoffs, Vitality finishing second in their group or whatever the hell. G2 going all the way down, beating big here, and then playing Vitality in round 2. It's a very strange tournament, the full groups, as it were. But Vitality beat them, fair and square, quite convincingly in a BO3. Obviously lose to Na'Vi, but then it puts them in the exact same spot as G2, who just lost to them. You know, and then they play against each other again, and G2 end up winning. Vitality then have to go through the full showdown alongside Heroic, Astralis, Big. You know, obviously they're all partner teams, they're going to be big teams, but it's a very strange tournament. But anyway, what we see is G2 get absolutely slapped around on their bat pick of Vertigo in the first series. They lose that game 16-4, quite a convincing loss. Their 4 rounds were all T-side. They didn't pick up the pistol, only got the 4 rounds. However, they stuck with it. Picked Vertigo map 1 in the second series and won at 16-14. With a far more convincing T side, picking up 9 rounds. And what I'm here today to do is kind of have a look at where the improvements lay, where the problems lay, how they fixed them in a 2-day period. And I think that's what's good about Blast, is it allows you to see how teams adapt in quite a quick manner. So the first thing I want to highlight is quite how fragmented they were in this first game. So if I turn the cameraman on, we just watch this round play out. What we see happen, actually I'm gonna focus on G2. We see Hooxi and Hunter both going towards B early on. Hooxi takes quite a lot of nade damage, and simultaneously you've got JKS and Nico trying to lurk out for this kind of B split. They're trying to lurk out middle, and quickly we pay attention to Nico. He comes out first. He's kind of the spearhead of this lurk. And he gets out incredibly far. Now the first point of contact is going to come here. The flash comes in, Sphinx goes over the top, the trade's there. It's a 1-for-1. And at this point in the map, you've got JKS lurking quite far up as well. But look where Nico's got himself to, right? He's all the way basically in CT spawn. He can give JKS this information, which allows him to get Magisk. They're in a 4v3. They're in a man advantage situation. There is one player on B. They have so much map control around B. You've got Nico here. You've got JKS in middle. You've got Hunter trying to lurk up here. And you've also got m0NESY alive, who is preoccupied with Apex, who he knows is here, and he misses this shot right there. But the thing is, they have a lot of map control, but none of it is working in tandem. Nico and JKS did a very good job initially at the start of the round, getting out mid and finding early map control. Hunter and Hooxi played very well together, but m0NESY is completely alone on the other side of the map, obviously preoccupied. His job, ostensibly, in this setup is to pick up the bomb and come to B, but it doesn't happen early enough. Nico gets this information that ZywOo's coming, and JKS can therefore get a nice spray down. He's very low on health, but it's a 4v2. But Nico's not quick enough to fall back, help Hunter as he pushes out B. Hunter goes out completely alone and falls. You've got m0NESY and Nico now trying to work together while JKS is still alone in mid. JKS doesn't make a decision. He either needs to go back spawn or push up to help split B with Nico here, but Nico wants to be quiet. dupreeh catches him anyway. m0NESY trades, but it's a 1v1, and the round can't be won, and it should have been won. It was a 4v2 situation with complete B map control. dupreeh did everything, but he was handed everything on a silver platter because of how dissonant, how fragmented G2 played that T-side round. So now I want to move over to the second series. This is the same map, Vertigo, but the second series, to show how G2 fixed this problem and the fact they did fix it. The fact they did fix this problem. They play far more as a team in this round. It's what we see off the rip. I'm going to focus on Hooxi actually. Hooxi goes towards ladder, and I believe he brings m0NESY with him. m0NESY goes for that early AWP peek, and Hooxi calls him to come with him towards ladder to help up mid with JKS, who, it seems from watching these two games, is this kind of mid-lurk player regularly for G2. So Hooxi and m0NESY supporting JKS around middle. You've got Hunter playing where he was with Hooxi before in the last round we just watched. He's playing alone, watching for this B aggression. The same flash comes through. This time, Hunter punishes. They're aware of it. They've taken note of what G2 Vitality liked to do in the previous game, and they've responded. And then look at this play out mid. They get the pick. The three people start pushing out mid. JKS chucks a really nice smoke to cut off the kind of CT angle, and they split the sites. Hunter comes up at the same time. They find Magisk in the sites. Nico kills Spinks on a lurk. And the round's done from that point because there's decision. There's very definite strategy within this round. They've come into it with a plan. They've executed on that plan. Obviously, it implies in the previous round that it got completely, torn apart by Hooxi and Hunter having to 1-for-1 trade. But even so, once you get that 1-for-1, you should make the mid-round call on the fly. The mid-rounding in this round was far better from Hooxi. And the team just kind of stuck together far more as a unit. The second aspect of G2's problems, G2's flaws that they had in this first series that I would like to highlight is what I've labeled as communication. In this round, we're picking it up, and this is the current map state. We've got Hooxi, Nico, m0NESY all looking towards a ramp here. And we've got Hunter playing kind of where he normally plays, lurking lower B, and JKS also lurking mid. So it's quite default from G2. In line with what we've seen them, how we've seen them set up so far. But what's a bit different, Hooxi and Nico go for this peak. m0NESY is quite far back. Hooxi and Nico try something here. Cyber goes for the boost over the top. They capitalise on that misplay. Then Hooxi goes for a trade quite aggressively and takes Apex. Now we're in a 5v3. Difficult spot for Vitality. Hooxi unfortunately falls. And it gives them an absolute lifeline. But look at JKS and Hunter in tandem coming out of mid. Now this is where rounds are very often won on Vertigo. They've lurked out mid. But crucially, dupreeh, who had a blinder game, is still in the site. So he's playing this close angle. He's playing the one angle, really, that JKS possibly wouldn't think to clear and can't clear from this position. So what I imagine has happened now is he's called B-sides clear, because look at the way m0NESY runs. He's got a knife out. They don't even consider that close angle. And he takes 2 kills and the round's lost. Hunter dies meanwhile, he has a bit of a bad spray. That's fine. That's by the by. But what is most egregious about that round is clearly, this is a very, very early on in JKS's tenure on G2 we've got to consider. And I think what happened, he just said, be clear. Complete miscommunication. You've got to say, he could be close stairs. He could be playing the wallbang, whatever the hell it's called. But alas, they didn't call that. m0NESY runs with his knife out. dupreeh gets a 2k. Look at him, 13 and 3. He's absolutely bossed them on this B side. He's shut it down. But it's a failure of communication that has lost them that round and puts them 8-1 down. I'm going to use this round by way of comparison. And what I like most about this round is, as we can see already, it starts off in the exact opposite way for G2. The communication breakdown is more likely because they're in this 4v5 situation. Hooxi and Nico are pressuring ramp where m0NESY has just fallen. And as we're going to see, it doesn't work out for them. Nico overpeaks and falls to Magisk, right? But as this is happening, Hunter has been boosted by JKS up to get this B lurk going, to poke and prod towards B. All the while, Hooxi is still here. The play towards A is ostensibly still happening. Bomb is in the middle of spawn, as they do quite regularly. JKS throws that flash over. Hunter finds dupreeh. The communication's flawless between Hunter and JKS to find that opening kill. The nades come out. The site is taken. Now, the round necessarily slows down because look where Hooxi is. He's still pressuring ramp as Hunter falls. So the situation's pretty bleak, and it looks like it's falling into that trap that they fell into in the first map, where they were very slow to make a final decision. But what doesn't happen JKS doesn't overstep. He stays on this box, and he will stay on this box for quite a fair while, holding the boost. So all he has to do, Hooxi has to be ferried onto the site, which happens quite safely. They get bombed down in a default spot. The nades come too early from Vitality, and Hooxi chucks a perfect nade onto Apex. Gets a nice flash, and look at the timing on that flash from JKS's perspective. Zywoo has to turn away. Spink swings, but just can't trade, and JKS goes nuclear off the back of Hooxi's flashes. The communication for G2 looks so much crisper in that round, does it not? Like, the way they play that 2vx, Hooxi and JKS, even Hunter and JKS playing the 2vx on the B side to find Dupree, the flash timing was perfect. It's so much more cohesive. The communication looks so much crispier from G2 in that round. So what we see in this round is the next aspect I'd like to highlight, which I'm going to label strategy, but what I essentially mean is that it kind of seems like G2 didn't have, they didn't really know what they were doing. It comes under communication and kind of fragmentation, but this round they try to play as a unit, but it doesn't come off at all. I guess it is a mix of the communication and the fragmentation, you know, even when they're so close knit, it kind of seems like they weren't playing together. So what we have, Nico peeks over this smoke early on. It looks pretty good. They find Magisk, also peek the guns. M4A1S, FAMAS, 2 Deagles, really, really rough on the side of Vitality. I'm going to speed it up because the round slows down here. G2 take the pick, and they group up for a ramp take. Hooxi goes up the ladder to kind of help out mid, I believe. You got Nico and the boys chilling out here, lower ramp. Nades come out. Pop flash from Monesi, goes behind Nico. He's going to be the first face, as per usual. Gets the molly down to try and force Spinks out of position. Molly returns from Spinks. Great use of utility. They have very limited utility coming into this round. Do Vitality, but they use it very well. So, I mean, we are still, with 33 seconds left on the clock, stuck a ramp. They haven't got out of scaffolding. Nico's tried, but there wasn't, you know, the nade usage slowed them down for sure, but there was no attempt from the ramp players to push up. The smoke grenades that have been used by Vitality have really stalled them. JKS gets incredibly lucky to find Apex through that smoke, and it almost gives them the round here. But they're still playing so slowly. It's 24 seconds left. Hunter's got the bomb on his back. He will swing out. Pull out a nade. The panic's setting in for G2. As Dupree swings around scaffolding and finds his kill, Hooxi trades, but there's 8 seconds left on the clock. Zywoo finds Hooxi as he tries to pick up the bomb. There wouldn't have been time even if he got it. And all Zywoo has to do is hide. He's awfully played on the side of G2. There's no strategy going into that round. It's just let's fight ramp and let's see what happens. And it just ends in absolute anarchy. You can take the French player out of G2, but you can't take the French bomb planting. Then we come to the second series, map 1, Vertigo. And we see the strategy is vastly improved. Again, this is kind of a mirror round. They go for a ramp play, but crucially, over and over again in this game, as we saw in the last game, they utilized mid and B. They utilized it a lot. They condition Vitality into expecting a B almost, or you know, not necessarily expecting this fast ramp aggression. They haven't done it once so far this game. They've got 8 rounds on the board already, and at round 15, Hooxi pulls it out the bag. He pulls out a masterclass in ramp aggression. So here we go. The flashes come through. Hooxi's first phase, just pure aggro. The trades are beautiful from G2. JKS finds Zywoo, following Hooxi fallen, and they're already up. And look how quick this is by comparison. 1 minute 33 this time, and they're up ramp. They're onto the site. You know, they've got the site to themselves. Vitality are all the way back here. They haven't even played the XX smokes yet. This is the first time this smoke has gone down. JKS plays a closed smoke, and now they have the setup right to get the bomb plant. But they're already on the site with so much time left. It's a complete... Oh, and he even fakes the plant there, Nico, to try and bait out Apex. And it's just a complete contrast to their previous attempts at ramp progression, which just fell so flat. What we also see is Nico popping the fuck off by comparison to last game. He's, you know, finishing that half really strong. But what I hope I've highlighted is how you know, how we can use the Strange Blast format to highlight teams improving, you know, on the fly. G2 clearly want to make Vertigo a map that they pick regularly with Hooxi as their IGL, it seems. Having picked it, you know, map 1 both times against Vitality. I know the first time was just such a humiliating slapping, you know, that it seems unbelievable that they could possibly pick it again, and they do. And Hooxi just completely turns it around in a couple of days. It was 2 days apart, and they turned it around. It shows how quickly a roster can kind of update itself. And I hope that they could actually win some titles now, G2, with JKS and Hooxi added to the lineup.